Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
We'll start. All right, you ready, everyone?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming virtually to our tasting room with Alice today and myself, Scott. And we also have a live audience today. They'll be interacting as well, having some questions. Obviously, if anyone's got any questions from home, feel free to write them in the chat and we'll answer them. Probably Alistair, best placed on most of them. And yeah, looking forward to going through our special release. So hopefully everyone can hear us okay. You can hear us all right?
Yeah, perfect.
Good.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to have a whiskey with us, and hopefully you have your bottles as well and can join in. So without further ado, probably going to hand over to Alistair Day, our co-founder and master distiller, to go through our most recent release. Yeah, you're fine. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So this evening we're here to talk about our special bottling, the Scottish Whisky Distillery of the Year bottling. So we have our award behind us that we won last year, and this bottling is to celebrate that award. And we wanted to do something very different. So we have done something very different.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is our unpeated spirit. As you know, we do peated and unpeated barley. We do 6 months of each. And for this particular release, this is the unpeated spirit. This was initially filled in August 2018 into Four Roses bourbon cask. So again, not part of our recipe cask, but a very interesting cask that gives great flavour to our spirit. So Four Roses bourbon, so North American oak, first fill, so lots of flavour coming from that. Typically, Quercus alba, North American oak.
It's pretty dark colour.
Yeah, it's great colour. It's our oldest release yet, so it's fully 5 years old, which we're delighted about. Sorry, I had to prompt the audience there. It will get more spontaneous.
I'll give you cues. Okay.
So our oldest spirit to date, and after being matured for very nearly 5 years in Four Roses bourbon, we vatted it and put it into Quercus Humboldti. So Quercus Humboldti is Colombian oak. It grows 3,000 feet up in the Andes Mountains in Colombia, and it gives a very different flavour to the spirit. So these are fresh casks. They have no previous contents in them. The oak has been air dried for 36 months, so 3 years, before making the cask. And then when the casks are made, we specify a high toast, which caramelises the sugar, helps break the lignans down, and then a high char. So these are very active casks. So that vatting of the Four Roses then went into these casks for just short of 4 months. And when Scott's talking about the colour of this whisky, a lot of that comes from that second maturation in Quercus Humboldti. Quercus Humboldti, typically used for rum in that part of the world, gives burnt sugar or creme brulee, really kind of creamy mouthfeel, all of those burnt sugar flavours. So what I really need to do is walk around the room, and make sure everyone's got a dram. So
I'll have the first. Yeah, is that okay?
Look after Scott first.
Yeah.
Of course. Here we go. And myself. Why not? Yeah. And hopefully at home, if you have your Distillery of the Year special release, please pour away. I know some people have poured already because Chris Brown is already tweeting about having the Tourism Destination of the Year and our special Scottish Distillery of the Year side by side. So that hopefully there'll be some interesting comments in the chat about that as well. So excuse me.
Yeah, and look for while Alistair pours the dram for the live audience, it'd be good to have quite a few of you have already mentioned where you're tuning in from, and look great to see people from Pacific Northwest of United States. It's great. A bit closer to home, we've got people from Edinburgh, Amsterdam, Netherlands just generally, Glasgow as well, which I'm going to later this evening. So not too far. And yeah, some good familiar faces and support there for Callum and who else we got? Yeah, Chris and everyone else. So look, hopefully you managed to get a bottle. Not a huge amount released globally, so because it's a special release. So 9,500 bottles for the whole world isn't a huge amount, but hopefully you've managed to find it through either our trade partners here in the UK, or it'll be on its way to our export market. So we try and get it around as much as possible, so as many people can enjoy it from our little island.
So, Slange.
Slange. Cheers, Alistair.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
So, as a welcome drink this evening, everyone in the room here had our signature Isle of Grassy Hebridean single malt. So, now that everyone has tasted the Distillery of the Year release, I'm just going to ask for some feedback from the room in terms of differences and thoughts, and what do you all think?
I think this is going to take a while to
Take a while.
Yeah.
So different. So but different is good.
I think that's very true. I mean, this is very different from our signature single malt. Obviously, that's lightly peated, 3 different cask types.
And do you think the spirit, because the spirit type and we make it in a different way, like that's having an impact here quite significantly because it's not the mix? Or
so our unpeated spirit, we take a different cut. So all of our spirit comes on spirit about 75% ABV, and then for peated we cut down to 65, but for unpeated we only cut down to 67.
Okay.
So that gives you a slightly lighter spirit character for unpeated, and I think that's coming through in this.
And so even that couple of percent is going to make a difference in just how light the spirit is. So
just less of the heavier phenolics coming through, heavier compounds coming through. Also, with the unpeated, we use the cooling jackets on the fermenters.
Yeah.
So again, we just kind of stop the fermentation about 32 degrees. That produces less fusel oil, so I would say our peated spirit is typically more viscous than this, so it's a bit lighter.
Just want to say as well that a great international presence from people. We've got Switzerland, big Roger Federer fan, so great to see you here. We got France, Alberta in Canada, which is great. So look, support's great, and thanks for joining in. It'd be great to get questions either from yourselves virtually, and we'll go round the room here as well. I've got a question just on the cask types. I suppose one is why the Quercus and Bolty. It's virgin oak, which is a bit unique. I think there's only one other bottling I know of that's ever done anything with that. And then secondly, how much do you find the influence of that versus the Four Roses? To get the balance right.
Yeah, I mean the Quercus and Bolty, it's just a completely different flavour profile to other oaks. So it starts off. I mean, you remember you and I tasted it at 3 months old in the cask. It literally was like kind of crystallised, caramelised sugar, wasn't it? I've
been lucky enough to have a lot of tastings in the warehouse with Alistair, and I would say that's my most memorable one, if I'm honest, because the fact that it was 3 months old and you're not expecting much from it.
Yeah, I didn't tell you, did I?
No, you didn't say, and it was it's incredible. So,
so it really does impart a lot of flavour very quickly, but interestingly, it does actually plateau out quite nicely as well. So, early next year, there will be a fully matured Andean oak, Colombian oak special bottle. I'm probably giving too much away here, but this is going to lead into a fully matured Quercus and Bolty.
I say we definitely have casks laid down that are fully matured. That at some point will make an appearance. So yeah, I think we're just about safe there.
So I think there's a connection. For me, this is a nice intro. We wanted to do something very different from our signature single malt because. Such an honour to get Scottish Whisky Distillery of the Year. We really had to do something that was different, and I think for me this is sweeter. It's quite a bit sweeter and slightly lighter than our signature single malt. So yeah, it'd be great to get your feedback on it now.
Yeah, and I'll
let it open up.
And we'll try and relay it to the camera because I'm not sure how good the mic is. So. Fire away, it'd be good to hear.
So you said that these Colombian oak casks are traditionally used for rum.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there's a number of distilleries that do put whiskey in rum casks and finish them in that.
Mm-hmm.
I can taste a lot of that in this. That there's that sweetness, there's that sort of what I would call a banana-y sort of toffee flavour that I would associate with rum. And I think that's come from presumably that's from the Colombian oak.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's a really good question. So just to repeat it, people haven't heard that on the live stream. The question is, as I said, these casks are traditionally used for rum, but it's quite traditional to use rum casks to mature whiskey in. So these haven't had any previous contents in them, as I said, but I think you are getting a lot of those characteristics. So banana toffee was mentioned, so maybe even some of those tropical notes as well coming through from the cask. So it's a different way. I'm getting very similar results, I would say. Yeah.
And so just to build on that, because it's a good question. How did you even come across that wood type? Was it research, or was it a tip off, or were you in the Andes and thought I'd quite fancy cutting that tree down?
I would love to say I was 3,000 feet up in the Andes Mountains in Colombia. It wasn't that, no. So as some of you probably know, I did a degree in botany at Glasgow University a very long time ago. Anyway, so I'm fascinated with oak species, barley varieties, yeast strains. It just fascinates me anyway. Mm-hmm. But then when you look at how that might influence our spirit, what that might impart our spirit, so that was really the thread. Mm-hmm. Obviously in our signature malt, one of our 6 recipe casks, the 3 wood types is Chinkapin oak, so Quercus Muhlenbergi. So that was the kind of first step. So we use Quercus alba, which is the ex-rye cask. We use Quercus patria and Quercus roba, which are the French oak from the wine cask. So the Chinkapin was really there to add depth to our spirit. So the next logical step was another oak species that would actually impart different flavours again from Chinkapin.
And quite different flavours, obviously.
But very different flavours. Yeah, very different flavours. And I think that's why this was a step along the road. And I think when we get to fully matured in this cask type, I think that'll be really interesting.
Very good. Keep coming in from different places. Nothing wrong with Kilmarnock, which is great to see you here as well. Colorado Springs, we were there in August. A beautiful place, and great to see people from all over. There was a couple of questions. So one was about the wood type. So you've answered that, I would say. And then Callum's asking, was local barley, the Razzie local barley, also put into Four Roses casks? Was that?
There is the very first. He's good. He's tasted that cask. He knows the answer. To that. So
not many have. Not many.
It's
have.
hidden now.
It is hidden.
So the very first year. So the very first year we grew barley on Razzie was 2017. Mm-hmm. So we actually had barley in the ground before the distillery was built. Yeah. That was harvested at the end of that year, malted. Mm-hmm. And we distilled it in 2018, and this was distilled in 2018, and that's when we used the Four Roses. So yes, he's absolutely right. That first parcel of Razzie barley's in.
And is there many have we got many of the Four Roses casks?
It's not common compared to the other casks.
Yeah, so that makes it unique in that sense as well, because there's probably not a huge amount of ex-bourbon releases that we have planned.
Not for us. I mean. We purposely steered away from bourbon and use ex-rye, and the rationale for that is that rye brings a bit of that black pepper spice to it as well. I mean, in time, obviously, you're still going to get the Quercus alba, and you're getting that in this. You're getting that classic kind of butterscotch vanilla flavours which are coming from the Four Roses, the oak used.
Yeah, cool. We got questions in the chat as well, but good to go around the room again. Just make sure any comments, burning desires about questions about Razzie or Scotch or life generally. We can always try and answer.
Scott's doing the life quiz.
Don't
know about that.
Certainly get what you're saying about the mouthfeel of that is very different. It's much more creamy, it's much more filling.
I think that's it. I mean, when Dave Broom tasted these casks, he said creme brulee, and I think that sums it up really nicely, because you got that burnt sugar, but you've still got that creamy texture. And I think, there's so many important elements to producing a single malt, and having that mouthfeel, having something there that kind of coats your mouth is really important. So sometimes for us that's the viscosity from the peated malt and how we ferment and distill that. But in this case, you're getting that from the Quercus Humboldti cask.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to taste it alongside in the future, potentially fully matured, and see the difference between. Obviously, we had that 3-month, explosion of flavour versus the kind of longer matured. That leads me nicely onto the question, which has gone too far up the chart for me to spot, but it was based on, can we share this? How closely do you have to monitor the virgin oaks?
Yeah.
And I think that's more of a general question, not just the Humboldti.
Yeah. So, in general, you've got to look at the casks on a regular basis, but with these fresh casks that haven't had anything before that are really active, you need to look at them on a regular basis. And I think that's what's been so fascinating about these casks, is 3 months we were like, whoa, what's that? And it was a bit like the rye casks, the first rye cask we filled and tasted after 3 months, I was like, whoa, how much spice, black pepper are we getting off this? Have we overdone it?
Yeah.
But when you go back to them, you can see the evolution of the cask. So I think that's what's really been fascinating. And I say with these particular casks, about 2 years, thereabouts, it started to level out and it's starting to plateau out. And you're getting different flavours. You're getting more aromatic essential oils coming from the wood. So that's starting to balance some of that sweetness and the burnt sugar. So, but I think it's a great question. Absolutely, the more active the cask, the more often you want to look at it as a rule of thumb.
Yeah, and seeing them develop, as a distillery, we're developing, and the ages, the Nashir tastings we did in lockdown were very young, and then all the way through to the recent bottlings that we did last year. Seeing that kind of evolution is pretty cool.
That was good as well, because seeing the Chinkopin at 18, 24, 36 months doing those virtual tastings that we did, and seeing people come back on the tastings and they were following the development of the cask as well. So quite unusual, but it was just a really great thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. Any other? As we go around the room, or maybe ladies, any?
Would you consider putting a peated malt in this?
Yeah, we have actually. So again, very good question. So the question was, would we consider putting a peated spirit in these casks? So the full term maturation is a split between peated and unpeated, and it plays in different ways. It gives different flavours. So that's part of why we do 6 months of peated and 6 months of unpeated, and use the different casks, because the interaction of the spirit is very different with the different woods. So
Is that what you consider the full maturation, or have you already decided what that's going to mean?
So we've got a selection of casks that will be full 3 years. These Quercus Humboldti, and that's a mix of peated and unpeated spirit. So that's quite exciting. It is quite exciting. So as I say, without giving too much away, that might be early next year.
I think,
Just blown the gaff.
William's walking downstairs, so any minute he'll come running up the stairs.
Okay, moving on. There was a question there. Sorry, I'm trying to keep on tabs while. There's a question on the peaty or smoky. That was it.
Yeah.
Trying to find it there. So, is there a difference? I think, but I'm sure you can answer that. It's a broader question, but it's not a stupid question, because people do call it peaty, smoky.
Yeah, and I think there are so many different types of peat influence in whiskey. So obviously you can have really heavily peated barley from, say, Islay, using Islay peat, which is very medicinal, can be iodine, TCP, those sorts of flavours. We use Highland peat. Highland peat is very much more aromatic, fragrant smoke, so it's more like a wood smoke. You've also got, for instance, you can put spirit in a ex-Isla cask. So the spirit itself might not be peated, but you could put that in an Isla cask, and you would get some of that smoke influence coming through in the spirit. And also, you can put unpeated spirit in a heavily toasted, heavily charred cask, and still get some of that wood smoke influence from it as well. So there are all sorts of different levels. So we talk about Highland peat, because that influences, and obviously we're lightly peated, so we do vatings of unpeated and peated to get to a particular level.
Yeah, that's good. There's another question actually asked on that, which was about the cask. Can you reuse the cask after it's been peated to use unpeated releases? Which you can't, but you could still play around with that. You can put unpeated spirit in peated casks and peated spirit in unpeated casks. Yeah. And so on. So
so we've done some of that. Also, when we change from unpeated to peated or peated to unpeated, we don't separate the spirit. We bleed it through. So we have this interim spirit that is, particularly if you're going from peated to unpeated, you've got a period of time where you've got this interim, and slowly the kind of phenols drop away in time. So that we just identify that. And we can use that in vatings as lightly peated, or it can be special releases, and these are things that we're going to look at in the future for special releases.
If you're seeing me scouring at the screen, it's I'm trying to read the comments and make sure we're on top of the questions, etc. There is some good questions there. One is on the exploration of yeast, any experimentation with yeast, or is it purely wood that we're looking at, or is it across the board?
No, I think there's probably three, let's call them three main pillars that we're looking at. So obviously we've just spent a lot of time talking about oak species. That's a big part of it. Barley varieties is obviously a big part of it, but yeast is too. We use a champagne yeast. So we use distiller's yeast predominantly for what we're making, but we also use a champagne yeast. And we've done the champagne yeast on its own, and we've done the champagne yeast in combination with the distiller's yeast. And you get completely different results. So you get much more intense fruit. You actually get a dry kind of champagne-like flavour from the champagne yeast, which is really interesting in the spirit, but a drop in yield. So that's something that we kind of want to balance, but it does create a lot more flavour. And in combination with the distiller's yeast, you get different flavours again. So yeah, we have, and maybe a bit in the distance, but there will be some releases of the champagne yeast. Okay. And the champagne distiller's yeast in the future.
That's good. Keep it more vague, Alistair. I think that's important.
Yeah, I've still got the bruise from the last kick.
Does that link to the cut that you take?
Yeah. So the cut's another variable again. Yeah.
So if you're using different yeasts, you're going to get different mixes of various things.
That's it.
So where you cut it is important as well.
So the cut point is important, and because the yeast and the different type of yeast is another variable, we've actually purposely kept the cut points the same. So we haven't changed the cut point.
Single variable,
yeah. So try not to change too many things at once, so that when you do compare it,
you can compare it directly. So just for you, because just for
6,000 bottles of different whiskey.
That's right.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation where you thought that one should be good? How do we do that?
Yeah, so a good question from Lawrence there. Have we ever done something we thought that was good? Can we do it again? Have we? I don't know. Yeah, only on purpose.
Yeah, I think the whole. I mean, the kind of DNA of yourself and the distillery is experimental, I would say, and that's. It's all been really good, but out of single casks in particular, you're going to find, it's a trial and error, isn't it? Yeah. Like it always is. I think there's ways of making sure that it's, there's a consistency, but ultimately we're always taking risks, making
Yeah.
using different cask types and so on.
I was just drinking.
Yeah,
It's not.
I don't know if it's frozen here.
Yeah.
Internet gone. We're not unsure actually, so we'll keep chatting away. Looks like a wee tech issue. So yeah, are you okay?
We've frozen up.
Yeah.
No?
Are we still going? We've frozen up on the screen, so we weren't sure.
Just doing
but we'll. Yeah. Do we ever see Razzie putting out a bottling with a wee bit more smoke? Is it a question?
That is.
I think there's it coming here. It's all going so well. It's all going so well. It's all going so well. Now we're offline.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I don't know what's happened here.
Well, I can just say now, we've just hoped
We've got you here, so people still have us, I think.
Not trying to sell
Yeah.
heavily peated.
It's our screen's not.
I think hopefully it's just our screen that's
Yeah.
coming up. So.
Anyway, we can't see ourselves now, which well, I think we'll survive.
But going back to that question.
But sorry, back to that, Alistair.
So
Sorry.
so we've got some different peating levels in the barley coming in for the future, and we've done some different cut points as well. So we've done wider cut points. So all of these are things that we can look at bottling at some point in the future.
Yeah, and I think probably there's a mix of peated and unpeated, but generally, the style we are known for will be lightly peated. I think if we were to take that.
very, very much.
Cross sections.
We're about being a Hebridean single malt lightly peated.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad, William, as long as you've got us, everything's all good. It's still showing us in our screen that there's no connection, but we'll plow on. So, any feedback as well? Chris talking about the Manzanilla, which was our release for the tourism destination of the year. Hence, it was only available at the distillery.
Yeah.
And that was a very different release again. It was maybe a couple of minutes on that. I know we're here for the distillery of the year, but it's good to explain the kind of context of both releases.
Yeah, for me it's great to put those two side by side. Basically, because they're so different. So the Manzanilla, the reason that we use the Manzanilla casks, let's go in here. The reason we used the Manzanilla cask was, we're often asked, we have these warehouses on Rassie, a small island very close to the sea at all times, and will that climate influence our spirit? So in time, quite possibly yes, and we'll get these maritime salty notes in our spirit in time and maturation. But we use the Manzanilla cask because obviously Manzanilla is a sherry near the coast. It's very dry, got this really salty note to it. So for the tourism destination, we use these American oak Manzanilla Posada casks, and it did give us a very dry, salty note. So I think, Chris is absolutely right. Put the two side by side, so you've got this very dry, salty Manzanilla matured, and then you've got this Four Roses, again unpeated. Manzanilla was peated, unpeated, Four Roses, and Quercus, and you've got something that's much sweeter with much more of the kind of burnt sugar. So I think for me, what's pleasing about that is being able to demonstrate the different styles that you can produce by the different. But I think again, it's all down to personal taste. So for me, Manzanilla probably is more kind of down my kind of favourite thing, that kind of dry, salty thing. But also, for me, this is just so
it's
easy to drink.
quite quaffable. I'm actually
gone.
mine is gone. I'm onto the signature single malt, which I had earlier for comparison. So there's different tastes. I would say the special releases, 2,500 bottlings for the tourism destination and 9,500 bottlings for the distillery of the year. So it's small volume, and that's when we're going off the beaten track of the Nishia recipe and exploring different kind of avenues with the cask types and so on.
No, I think it is, and I think as you said, our signature single malt is all about that Hebridean, lightly peated, dark fruits, a lot of complexity, and it's really nice to have these special releases that have these kind of completely different properties to them.
So it seems like we're online from a few have let us know, which is good. It's still showing we're offline, so goodness knows. But I think we're still on a camera and in front. So I just got a thumbs up from Scott, Tech Mooney behind us here. So we're all good. Look, I think I think we're getting through our whiskey. It'd be great to have a couple more questions, and then hopefully we'll see you in the next tasting, and we'll do tastings here in Edinburgh. There's obviously the distillery has accommodation. Try and open year round now from this year. Yeah. That's right. So great to see in other avenues, but thanks for joining us virtually as well. So yeah, I'll go to the room first. Any burning questions? Again, life is open to we're open to any questions.
Yeah,
I think we can. Let us get through the last of the questions, then we'll have a dram to celebrate at the end. I think worth noting again. We've got the award behind us here, but Distillery of the Year is pretty cool. Yeah. I don't think we expected it as well at all, and it was great to. It's just. I think it's a great testament to the different cask types and how we're trying to do things differently at the distillery, from the accommodation to the cask recipe for our signature single malt through to unpeated and peated spirit and so on. So great to celebrate it with a bottling and kind of finish off the year of being the Distillery of the Year. So having a look at the questions, we've got some good tasting notes. A lot of people still online, which is great. And I think comments back. A drop of water really helps. I think always with a higher ABV. Yeah. And maybe just touch very quickly on the ABV. It's not cask strength. That's right.
No, it's not cask strength. We did a number of different strengths prior to bottling it, and for me initially I was thinking that we were kind of going to be maybe below 50, maybe kind of in the high 40s. So we did a number of different tests at different strengths, and we got the guys at the distillery to go through that and give us feedback, and that's why we ended up at an absolutely wonderful 50.7. Sorry,
50.7. So we would show. We can't really even see showing the bottle, but we'll try and put it towards the camera.
I can try. Yeah. There we go. So
that'll be.
Does that work?
Yeah, probably that way though.
Very easy.
Easy drink. Quickly, the next batch of the single malt is kind of imminent. Is that right? So we've got a question on Arrow 2.2.
And are we allowed to mention that there's maybe something else coming?
I think a little teaser, just to finish off. There's one more thing coming. Let's see how much we can say without getting in trouble. It's going to look a bit different as well, I think. I think going to look a bit different. Very different flavour profile than what we tried right now. But one that's been, that we're proud of, and I think a good differentiating style to what we've just released. So that's one thing to look out for, I'd say.
Watch this space. Well, we can't because we're frozen. But
we can. We've got a blank screen. But look, I think on that, thanks for joining us. Thanks for supporting us. Without the support, that we couldn't be where we are. Really, as as a small distillery, an independent brand, and to win, Distillery of the Year at Scotch Whisky Awards is, pretty happy with it, I'd say, and been a great year, and I hope to see some of you here in the tasting room or on Razzie. So
thank you again.
On that, Slange.
Slange again.
Thank you, Alistair.
Cheers.
Thank you guys, everyone. Thank you. Speak soon. Slange.
Bye now.
That was really off-putting.
That was just